for me, right? Like I know because back in the day when I was just kind of doing that, where I'm like taking small trades and I'm trading like in sim and only sim and shit like that. For
Yeah.
me, it would fuck up my mental capital because if you do something like that's why I don't even play around and like that's why I don't even do stupid shit now in sim just because I know
Right.
the effect it can have on you when you're trading real
In
accounts.
real
You know what I'm
accounts,
saying?
yeah, yeah, hell
Like
yeah.
say you in sim and you taking like 100 contracts and shit like that'll
Yeah,
fuck you up and then
exactly.
so
But you
yeah
see,
that's why I was saying that yeah
this one was realistic. You feel me? This one was a
yeah
realistic. Like I will actually take this trade in real life if I had a real account. But I'm still in a challenge, so I don't want to fuck that up. You know, like I don't want to mess that up. So like
what size account you trading?
50.
Oh okay.
Yeah, it's not a big account. So like when you're making like when you're taking trades, I'm only doing one contract, bro, on a micro. And by the time, look, like I said, I entered around this push. By the time I was here, I had already caught my goal. You know what I'm saying? Like
Word.
up
Also, too
here.
though, don't get mentally exhausted out on evals because that be happening. That used to happen to me where you spend so much time on the eval, and
Yeah,
then like if you know you have a process that works, you
yeah,
know what I'm saying, and you spend so much time on the eval, then it can really it can really drain your mental capital when it comes to even getting the PAs because now you done drained so much of your mental capital, but now
yeah,
you gotta go into a PA environment. Now you feel like mentally it's like now it's double the work. Now you know what I'm saying? So
yeah. I feel
just
you, bro.
just
Yeah,
be
you're right.
mindful of that.
You're right. Yeah, for sure.
Man,
Yeah.
algo's going crazy right
This
now.
is
Oh
the,
my
this
god.
this is actually gonna be my first actual prop, bro. Like before this, I was always trading my funds. It
Yeah.
was always my funds, and the only thing I was lacking was consistency, bro. Like
Yep.
like I'll get to a certain extent to where like, all right, I missed two, I win one, I win another one, and then I miss another one, and it's like so. I don't know something about props that just kind of make you a little bit more confident because you're not playing with your money. I don't
Yeah.
know that makes
Nah,
sense, but
but
I was
yeah, no, I mean it do, but that's what I would just say. Just guard your mental capital because I
yeah
know how that used to be for me, just trading only in like sim and shit and all that, but
yeah
like and also trading straight evals and whatnot. But it can be a mentally daunting task just trading evals for a little bit and then taking a good amount of time to pass it. Which if that's what you're doing, that's what you're doing. Nothing wrong with it. But I'm just saying,
yeah
be mindful of your mental capital because that it can take an effect, and that's why you be hearing them horror stories of people they trade an eval. It takes them a while, and then they get a PA account and
yeah.
then they blow it same
That's
day.
right. Yeah, that's right. Because I think honestly, like if I could, like honestly, like if I wanted to, like I think I would have passed my challenge a long time ago, bro. Like if I would
And
have
that, hey,
trade like this as first
and look,
trading.
and that's what I was gonna get at, but I didn't say it. But that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to like, because you know how like when you read what they say, like take your time. It's not a race or whatever. And like I feel like if I go wild with it, like I will end up just blowing my account, bro.
But what I would say is people. Well, for me at least, and me,
Yeah,
I'm probably wrong. I might be wrong, but go easy in your PAs.
yeah.
In the evals, and evals don't matter.
Okay,
Like
okay.
if you have a profitable strategy and like look like right now,
Yeah.
right there, that it seems like you've been doing this shit like every day. These are the type of trades that should be done in PAs.
Right.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Because there's no
Yeah.
benefit from the eval, like especially if you already know you have a good strategy that has an edge, that you have risk management. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Get,
Right. Right.
that's what I would say. I'm not
Okay.
for
Okay.
me
Okay.
personally. I can't I cannot spend more than 2 or 3 days in an eval.
Oh. Okay. 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 Gotcha.
Like for
Gotcha.
me personally, just
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's like
It's
it's
done for you. Like yeah. Yeah. Like I won't. Yeah. 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 I get you.
yeah, it's because it's the way I see it is
But
it's you it's opportunity costs. Like
Yeah, you're
these
right.
same trades, that's why I trade my live account and I trade my PAs.
Right.
So that's all I was getting at.
Got you.
But
No, yeah, you're
because
right. You're
look,
right.
and I'm only saying that because look at this risk to reward you got on this trade, and it seemed like you've
Right.
been hitting them shits. Those you should be cashing out on that. That's a trade. This is a skill that we work hard to develop, and if
Right.
you got it, you got it. You should be eating off that.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Especially if you got the risk management down and you got the edge and all that.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Most definitely, bro. Hell yeah. Thanks for the advice, bro. For
For
real.
sure.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
should
Well,
kind of go a little maybe not. I was maybe I guess a little bit more aggressive. I guess if kind of per se, right? When I mean, if I
Yeah,
already got the strategy down, just
that's what
go
I'm
for it,
saying.
right? Fuck it.
You got the strategy. Like don't even change anything about the strategy, but
Right.
just maybe on the for me at least on the evals, I'm a little bit more aggressive. Like I'm
Yeah.
like because I know a payout's gonna cover it. Like even if I blow some eval or some shit, which I don't want to blow an eval, but if it happens, I know that my PA payout is gonna cover that.
You're right.
And then
Yeah.
you just keep your account, you just keep rocking and loading. And then once you get in the PA environment, okay, now you solidify that risk, that strat. Okay, cool. I'm in here, 1 micro, 2 micros. My target's up here. It's a target. Put my stop where it needs. All that. And
Right. Yeah. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
to someone who can't trade, I would never say that to. But clearly, you a beast. So
Okay, I got you, bro. I appreciate it,
Yeah.
man, for real.
yeah, bro, for sure.
well,
Yeah,
one,
that's motivation. You're like, hell yeah, just go, bro. Do it.
I
and then
can't.
and then on the other side, I hear Sergio go full margin, go full margin. The the
well, and,
the market's gonna turn around right now.
and
Damn.
Yeah, I can't stand trading on evals for any period of time because they're just you meet it. Then let's say it takes you 40 days or whatever, like 20 days, like you got nothing. You got nothing to show for
You
it.
see what I'm saying?
Just
Right,
another
you're
bill.
right.
Yeah.
Right,
Another
yeah.
bill.
and then see if you can stack them, fam. Don't go. Oh, I got my paid account. I'm gonna go and start trading on this paid account. Try to stack them before you go live. Like, oh, I got 600 the belt now. It's time to go live. But
Yep.
that me and Anthony, we both discussed this. We were in a vicious cycle, bro, where we were work so hard, put all our, like Lou said, we put all our effort into the eval, and then once we got our paid account, we would blow that shit, bro. And it's not that we were bad traders; it was just that mental psychology. But
Yeah.
if you stack them, bro, and then you try to play it safe, yeah, who knows? You might even blow two, but guarantee you, at least
Yeah.
one you'll hit that one, and that payout you'll get everything that you put in there plus some change, bro, to do whatever.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. You don't want to burn out your mental like trading evals. Trading is a mentally daunting task.
Yeah.
But if you doing this mentally daunting task and there's no reward out of it, then it becomes even more of abuse of your mental capital. Like we abusing our mental capital every day in these markets.
Yeah.
Like there should be a reward for it.
Hell yeah, you're right.
So
Yeah, I can't wait for that, bro.
yeah, that's
Well,
that's what
I
it
said
is.
I can't wait. No, I'm prepared for that. Yeah,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
ready. I'm ready for it. Yeah.
Try
All right,
to
hear you. All
try
right,
to
yeah,
stack
yeah.
your paid accounts, bro, before you go live. Yeah, you can see a good setup, but try to stack them. That way, you don't go through that. We done played ourselves, bro. We did that for like a whole year, bro. And I say we're profitable, bro. It's just it's just those little things. It's even part of the psychology.
Right, yeah. Now, well, I'm gonna just respect today though, because I already got my goal, and I don't want to mess
Yeah,
that
nah,
up. But
today's you chilling
tomorrow, yeah,
for
tomorrow
sure.
probably you guys gonna see a wilder me now.
Nah, don't do
Yeah,
that.
you still got to keep it under control because
Come over
Yeah.
here and bust all that 5
you
contracts
don't
now.
you don't want to burn like 10 evals in a row and you're just
Right.
like, cool, I need to take out a loan to get some more evals. Like it's not going to work that way.
Yeah, you're right. Nah, but Top Step is pretty cheap, bro. You reset it for $50. I fuck with Top Step. Top Step's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. If you got it, it's cool.
What I like
It's
about
a fine balance, you know.
Yeah, you're right for sure. Yeah, of course.
I just can't stand to do evals for a long time because I know they're not worth anything. They're just a
I feel like once
roadblock.
I pass this one, I'll like have confidence enough to like do like maybe I think because I gotta have like 10 days trading for sure.
Hmm.
It says you gotta at least have 10 days of trading, but realistically, all days you could pass it in 3 days, and then the rest just take small little trades and like little trades,
Yep.
like and it should be okay,
and then
right?
with bull nuts or apex, bro, you can copy trade. You can use a trade copier and
Yeah.
copy that trade into 10 accounts or 20 accounts.
Ooh,
Yeah.
damn, that's badass. Yeah, I
But
did hear that you. I think I heard you guys talking about that. With Apex, you can copy. I don't know what you could do with Top Step, but
I think Top Step you can only have 5 paid accounts, I believe.
yeah, you can only have 5 accounts. But can you
Yeah.
copy trade? Is that the?
I'm sure you can, to be
Yeah.
honest. Let me. That's a good question. Let me look that up.
Yeah,
Cause
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
see people do it all the
100%
time.
sure.
hey,
Yeah.
I got
Oh,
the
okay.
Yeah.
live working on YouTube, by the way.
Oh, like right now or like when I
Good
had
stuff.
the trade going?
Man, I wish I could have done it. I was working as much as I could, like as fast as I could, and as soon as I
Oh,
got
okay,
done,
okay,
that's
okay.
when I came back live. I'm like, wait, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna talk to them yet till I get it fixed. And I was trying to
Yeah,
get it fixed, and
you
I finally got it fixed.
gotcha.
All right, weird. Yeah.
Man, y'all, I feel horrible. This don't normally happen. I'm always like six in the morning. I already got my coffee over here looking at the charts. And bro, today I woke up at 8:20. I'm like 8:20 something. I'm like, oh Lord, the market,
Ricky.
Ricky, bro. I felt oh man. I can't talk about no wellness checks today. I'm the wellness check today. Man, both of y'all caught this move or what's up?
Yeah, I caught some. I am fortunately at goal, which is
Nice. Why did we dump? Y'all said some tariffs?
why did we dump today?
Yeah.
You mean like the big dump at 8:30? CPI news?
Oh, that was CPI. Dang.
Yeah, and
Yeah, that was
inflation.
CPI. Yeah,
Hmm.
inflation came in at 3%. I guess hotter than expected. Apparently, right? Hold on, what did it say? It said CPI consumer prices rose 3% from last year, a faster pace than expected as inflation picked up speed in January.
Uh,
So
and then
yeah,
Powell's fixing to speak right now, right?
yeah, in 3 minutes. Let me find a
Yep.
date.
Maybe that is destiny. I got you, my guy. And God made me fall asleep because he knew I was going to blow an account today.
Yeah, let me see. Oh,
Yeah, I cut some of that buy. I could stop trading now, but we'll see what happens.
Nice.
that's a great feeling.
You doing Apex evals right now,
Yeah,
Kev?
I'm still on Apex.
Do, do you got that replicanto?
No, I only trade one account at a time. I'm not
Hey,
balling like that.
no, that's smart, fam. That is smart,
I don't want to burn 4 accounts at a time. I'd be
oh,
Damn.
broke.
bro. I done that before. Oh,
Yeah, I'm not
oh.
on an eval though. I'm. This is a PA, but yeah, we're just trading casual.
Have you gotten some payouts?
Hell no.
Hey, you got this though,
All I
bro.
all I do is I gotta keep my mind right because you'll be up a few $100 and then have it go the wrong way, and it's just like
Well, I think I told you
start
this.
losing your mind.
I think I told you this a while back, or I told James. But bro, you're so lucky to come into people that you did, bro. because
Sure.
I'm not gonna say we're not no pros by any means, but you know we we struggle for a little bit, and then we
Sergio,
start.
you're coming in and out. Or is that just me?
It might be. Can y'all hear me?
It was a proximity thing, and probably.
How about now? Is this good?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, you good, bro.
Okay, so I think I was telling you, and I was telling James as well that bro, you got mad lucky, fam. Because for one, James, your boy, and we've been doing this for a little while. So, bro, when I got started, nobody wanted to help me, and my mentor wouldn't want to tell me what he was doing. Bro, what are you doing over there? Watch the video. So that definitely helps a lot. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, bro, you got this. You got this.
Yeah, yeah. I've been taking it easy now. No more big losses.
Bro, I feel that. I feel that.
All right. Well, we're at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. 10 o'clock.
Let's see if we got anything going on.
Has Michael been here today?
I haven't seen him.
No, I'm not. Market starting to come down a little bit off the 50% of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I must stay away from the market today. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tempting, but
yeah. Oh, for that
it looks precarious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They could just slingshot it straight up higher off of this.
It,
Right.
on my chart where I rejected, it said that supply and its resistance too. It's both supply and resistance.
Okay, everybody's coming into the room. Where they about to speak. Yep. Oh.
Hey, it looks like market moved clean though.
Yeah, today was a very clean day. Clean day. For sure.
I took a little sell
I
there.
think you gotta give me like permission to optimize video for sharing, bro. I'm not sure.
Hold on, let me
We see your video.
do it now.
There
You
we go.
probably Yep, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
There we go. Nice little
Look at that
scalp on that
drop.
sell.
50% of the day getting smashed.
Now the real question is this a retracement or a pullback? Pullback.
So tired of seeing people in suits running the country. They need to dress better. What is this? This doesn't.
Oh shit.
This isn't. We're not being represented in Congress.
Right.
stylishly.
Was dude Mitch McConnell when he be like zoning out when they're doing the interviews, like dude so like just locks himself.
Yeah, he need to
Yeah,
go.
they call him Glitch McConnell.
Glitch McConnell. That's hilarious, bro.
Sir, you okay? Sir, you okay? He just got a smile on his face.
Bro, I'd never make fun of somebody like that in real life, but these politicians, they got it coming the way they treat
Yeah.
us.
Mhm.
They should definitely do an age threshold.
Oh yeah, for sure. Basically, the Congress is just a nursing home at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
You wouldn't trust these people to be a greeter at Walmart, let alone running countries and writing laws. Like, get out of here, dude.
A lot of them can't relate to the average American.
Yeah, not at all.
Man.
It's one of those days where you have like 7 or 8 Fibonacci retracements drawn.
You can't tell what your card is.
You can't even see the line of the candles anymore.
But I ain't gonna lie, that be happening to me. Why did I mark this? I know I marked this for a reason, but I forgot now.
Right? It's like some horizontal line you put down 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And it's just still there, just chilling. Yeah. But,
Right.
but look, that's why I be making little notes on my shit. But even though my notes be trash, I'm like,
Hey, that's smart. I should probably do that.
Yeah. Put some notes, man.
Yeah, you're like, me in 4 weeks is gonna know exactly what this meant. It's like, what the fuck was that?
Look at my stuff, bro. Mine is
God.
all written on. I have no indicators, but mine's written on everywhere.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
yo,
just
like
try to
that.
keep track of the highs, though.
that's clean. Mine's is a spaghetti.
We tapped into Tuesday's low.
I closed it a little early, but it's okay.
What, you short?
I took a short on that, even though I was saying it was too tempting.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just doing one little micro, so we're not worried about it.
I took a short too. I was right there with you.
Nice.
I was right there with you.
I was feeling the movement for NQ.
With that rejection, yo.
Whether this is a grab or if they're going to go higher or what, but I knew it was probably going to come down a little further. But with this fib, that thing came right down to the 61.8 on the downside, like to the
Here's
point.
authorized to declare a recess of the committee
Bounce.
time. This hearing is titled the Federal Reserve Semi-Annual Monetary Policy Report. Without objection, all members will have 5 legislative days within which to submit extraneous materials to the chair for inclusion in the record. I will note that at the outset that this hearing has a hard stop at 1 p.m., which we will strictly observe. I'll now recognize myself for 4 minutes for an opening statement. Welcome, Chairman Powell. Thank you for being with us today. For the last 4 years, inflation has crushed Americans. Today, it takes $1.21 to purchase what just cost $1 in January of 2021, as measured by the Consumer Price Index. The erosion of Americans' incomes and thereby their savings was caused by a combination of irresponsible fiscal policy, supply chain disruptions, but also by, in my view, the Federal Reserve fighting the last war. Too low.
Came at his neck.
Chairman Powell, you and I discussed that previous hearings of the Fed, like many others, assumed that the pre-pandemic era of low inflation and low interest rates would continue. This belief was one of the reasons the Fed changed its monetary policy framework in August 2020, only 7 months before inflation began its 4-decade steep march upward in March of 2021. In hindsight, the adoption of the so-called flexible average inflation targeting appears ill-timed and ill-fitted for a post-pandemic world. As the Fed undertakes a review of its monetary policy framework, you must account for the lessons of the last 4 years and think about what's ahead over the horizon, not what has been. The Fed has made progress on inflation, but as the last mile seems the hardest. As Bank of America economist Stephen Juneau said yesterday, inflation is stuck above target with risks to the upside. In August 2022, with inflation raging, you gave a speech that echoed some of your predecessors as chair. You vowed to keep at it till we're confident the job is done. It's a vow you should fulfill. With this morning's confirmation that inflation is well above the 2% target at 3%, and making move upwards, other economic indicators are positive. As you reported yesterday, a low inflation rate, solid GDP growth, and financial conditions continue to support expansion and investment. This is not a time to say that there are no risks, but some perhaps unseen. However, these risks in comparison to the risk of a resurgence of inflation present are modest. Given the already high prices due to President Biden's inflation, Americans
Martin,
cannot
open that
afford
link instead.
Grocery store and gas pump. Such a resurgence would likely force the Fed to begin another tightening cycle, making mortgages, credit cards, and small business loans unattainable for many.
So
why I urge the Fed
when you
to
share is
forward
on Zoom,
with
all
its
those Zoom
monetary
features we
policy
can't
committee
see.
until
So
you're
it's
confident
the
the
YouTube
position
link
is
that's in the
complete
chat.
and
Oh,
finds
okay,
stability
gotcha.
Look
to
at
restore.
it shows up as a black box.
Fact is, over the past decade, we witnessed too many
Yeah, I guess
distracting,
move that tab to the yep. There you
mandates,
go.
eluding the Fed's core mission of price stability, regulation, and supervision. The Fed was created by Congress to be an independent agency. The intent is to insulate the Federal Reserve's monetary policy from political influence. Unfortunately, in the last 2.5 years of the Biden administration, the Fed took on serious liberties with its independence in the areas of supervision. Federal Vice Chair for Supervision is to develop policy recommendations.
I don't know what's happening.
That have been brought
It sounds real loud, bro.
for consideration.
Refresh it.
In my estimation,
Refresh
over
the
the years,
page.
you and the board have been too deferential to the statutory vice chairman for supervision. Vice Chair Barr turned the Basel III endgame rulemaking into a
You know what it is? You might have it. It might be open somewhere else too.
Yeah, I think you had to open another tab for some.
Yeah.
Let me see.
I'll go catching crazy shorts.
Oh wait, what the fuck? Okay, let me see.
Yeah. So now I think if you open that, yeah. Oh, it was somewhere else. Hey.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Can you hear it? I mean, can you see it now?
Yeah, we can see it. Now we gotta.
Is that volume good? Good.
Home. The actions of the Federal Reserve and the machinery of monetary policy play an important role in economic stability. With the 5-year review of the monetary policy framework underway,
I think we should be good.
An opportunity to evaluate the effectiveness of the Fed's and its vast influence on the lives of every American. The creation of the new monetary policy, Treasury market resilience, and economic prosperity task force will afford us the opportunity to dive deeper into this topic. Chairman Powell, thank you for being here.
Good looks, Martin.
There are real issues that deserve our attention, and I hope today will be productive. I look forward to hearing your testimony on the state of the economy, where we're at, and where we're headed. Yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back. The chair recognizes Mr. Vargas, the ranking member of the Monetary Policy, Treasury Market Resilience, and Economic Prosperity Task Force, for 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And
hold on, I'm gonna find the middle link. Hold on.
And thank you, Chairman Powell, both for your years of public service and for appearing before our committee today. As a ranking member of the newly formed Monetary Policy, Treasury, and Economic Prosperity Task Force, I look forward to working with Chairman Lucas and the rest of my colleagues to address these important issues. The research is clear. Independent central banks perform better in carrying out their mandates than politically motivated central banks. The independence of the Federal Reserve is crucial to achievement of this dual mandate goals to maintain both maximum employment and stable prices. And although this dual mandate has been criticized by some, it continues to serve Americans well. It has not prevented the Fed from making substantial progress on driving down inflation, all the while avoiding a recession, which many saw as inevitable. I look forward to your testimony, Chairman Powell, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. I'd like to turn to the gentleman from Michigan and yield to him for a point of personal privilege. Mr. Heisinger.
Thank you, Chairman Hill. And as we all know, all good things must come to an end. And I want to take a minute to recognize someone who is leaving the committee, but has been an integral part of the oversight work Republicans have done over the last 5 years. Although Nicole Vo is all of 29 years old, something that we tease her about on a fairly regular basis, I quickly realized that despite her physical stature, she was a force to be reckoned with. Her dedication to my team, this committee, her colleagues, and this institution are something that we all should aspire to achieve. And Nicole has effectively served in various roles, from a professional staff member right out of law school to now Deputy General Counsel in this particular Congress. And her time with the committee, Nicole has worked on investigations in the same bank bank collapses of 2023, terrorist financing, culture, and corruption at the FDIC.
And directed. Myself, my team, and frankly, a whole financial service.
And it's fierce and tenacious and directed. Myself, my team, and frankly, the whole financial services committee team can't thank her enough for her work.
Yeah, try that link I just sent.
She has done on behalf of the organization. And like all good staffers, she has become a confidant, a sounding board, has the ability to say no in a very nice way, but deeply cherished. So thank you, Nicole. We deeply appreciate all of your work, and I yield.
Mr. Chairman, we welcome your testimony. Chairman Powell, you'll be recognized for
Good
5 minutes to go to the presentation.
That was a nice buy.
Without objection, your written statement.
I didn't take it.
Or
I'm
the
just saying it
record.
was nice.
You're now recognized
It
for
was nice.
Chairman Hill,
Clean bounce off that
Ranking Member
61-8.
Waters, and other members of the committee.
Yes, sir.
The opportunity to present the Federal
Man,
Reserve's
40 points on that.
semi-annual monetary policy.
Probably a little bit more.
The Federal Reserve
It could
remains
probably be like
squarely
70.
committed to achieving our dual mandate goals of employment and price stability for the benefit of the American people. The economy is strong overall and has made significant progress toward our goals over the past 2 years. Labor market conditions have cooled from their formerly overheated state and remain solid. Inflation has moved much closer to our 2% longer run goal, though it remains somewhat elevated. We are attentive to the risks on both sides of our mandate. I will review the current economic situation before turning to monetary policy. Recent indicators suggest that economic activity has continued to expand at a solid pace. GDP rose 2.5% in 2000.
Mr. Chairman, can we ask you to pull your mic a little closer, please? Thank you so much.
Sure. Recent indicators suggest that economic activity has continued to expand at a solid pace. GDP rose 2.5% in 2024, bolstered by resilient consumer spending. Investment in equipment and intangibles appears to have declined in the fourth quarter, but was solid for the year overall. Following weakness in the middle of last year, activity in the housing sector seems to have stabilized. In the labor market, conditions remain solid and appear to have stabilized. Payroll job gains averaged 189,000 per month over the past 4 months. Following earlier increases, the unemployment rate has been steady since the middle of last year and, at 4% in January, remains low. Nominal wage growth has eased over the past year, and the jobs-to-workers gap has narrowed. Overall, a wide set of indicators suggests that conditions in the labor market are broadly in balance. The labor market is not a source of significant inflationary pressures. The strong labor market conditions in recent years have helped narrow long-standing disparities in employment and earnings across demographic groups. Inflation has eased significantly over the past 2 years, but remains somewhat elevated relative to our 2% longer run goal. Total PCE prices rose 2.6% over the 12 months ending in December, and excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 2.8%. Longer-term inflation expectations appear to remain well anchored, as reflected in a broad range of surveys of households, businesses, and forecasters, as well as measures from financial markets. Our monetary policy actions are guided by our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. Since last September, the FOMC lowered the policy rate by a full percentage point from its peak, after having maintained the target range for the federal funds rate at 5.25% to 5.5% for 14 months. That recalibration of our policy stance was appropriate in light of progress on inflation and the cooling in the labor market. Meanwhile, we've continued to reduce our securities holdings. With our policy stance now significantly less restrictive than it had been and the economy remaining strong, we do not need to be in a hurry to adjust our policy stance. We know that reducing policy restraint too fast or too much could hinder progress on inflation. At the same time, reducing policy restraint too
that
slowly
was a nice bounce.
or too little, economic activity and employment. In considering the extent and timing of additional adjustments to the target range for the federal funds rate, the FOMC will assess incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. As the economy evolves, we will adjust our policy stance in a manner that best promotes our maximum employment and price stability goals. If the economy remains strong and inflation does not continue to move sustainably toward 2%, we can maintain policy restraint for longer. If the labor market were to weaken unexpectedly, or if inflation were to fall more quickly than anticipated, we can ease policy accordingly. We are attentive to the risks to both sides of our dual mandate, and policy is well positioned to deal with the risks and
well exceeded my expectations.
We're conducting our second periodic review of our monetary policy strategy,
100
tools, and
points.
communications
That little
to
bounce.
pursue congressionally assigned goals.
It also
The focus of
aligns
this
with that
review
little
is on-
area that Martin had. I think it was a Fair Valley gap right there
which
at the bottom of the structure. It
monetary
bounced from
policy.
there.
Oh, yeah.
Communications. The committee's 2% longer run inflation goal will be retained and will not be a focus of the review. Our review will include outreach and public events involving a wide range of parties, including Fed Listens events around the country and a research conference in May. We will take on board the lessons of the last 5 years and adapt our approach where appropriate to best serve the American people to whom we are accountable. We intend to wrap up the review by late summer. Let me conclude by emphasizing that at the Fed, we'll do everything we can to achieve the dual mandate goals Congress set for monetary policy.
What a clean move.
Supporting
Give me that. Hey, we just rejected off the 700 level here at 950, so beware.
Our success in
And we up at
delivering
a daily golden ratio at 720.
affect communities
So be mindful.
across the country. Everything we do.
I
is
just
in service
trailed
of our
out.
public
I am
mission.
at goal. Done for the day.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Let's
Chair
go.
yields back. I want to recognize the
get it.
ranking member of the full committee, Mrs. Waters from California, for a 4-minute opening statement.
Good morning, everyone. A welcome, Chair Powell, to our country is on the precipice of an economic disaster
There we go.
unlike anything we've seen in recent memory. While Trump promised lower prices for working class families, we're seeing the exact opposite. In fact, grocery prices are rising. According to the Labor Department, eggs are up 40%, more expensive than they were even a year ago. In my home state of California, we've seen eggs as high as $9 and more for a dozen. Inflation is rising, and it is up to 3% for the first time since June.
Having a hard time getting through the
And
700 level. But we'll see.
staples are about to get more expensive as Trump levies new taxes on steel and aluminum. America's consumers and businesses are facing uncertainty and chaos. This is all because Trump and his unelected billionaire co-president Elon Musk are taking a sledgehammer to our economy and democracy. In recent days, they attempted to illegally.
Think Capital isn't your typical prop firm.
Think
We're
Capital.
backed by Think giving you
created after the financial crisis of 2008. Inception, CFPB has successfully fought on behalf of working class families against abusive big banks and predatory lenders, and not to mention returned $21 billion
All right, there we go.
back to families, windows. Chair Powell, you explained yesterday that with the CFPB shutdown, there is no agency to supervise big banks to ensure they follow consumer finance laws. In the face of these illegal, cruel, and relentless attacks, Chair Hill, it is both urgent and critical that you immediately convene a long overdue hearing with CFPB Acting Director Vaught, members of Congress, and importantly, the American public deserves answers as to why Musk and his Doge minions are in possession of sensitive consumer information and what they are doing with it. Additionally, Trump is simultaneously threatening import taxes on U.S. companies that will increase the cost of groceries and other basic supplies for all. Trump is freezing funds for housing assistance and community development and whittling down the federal workforce so that his billionaire boys club can suck any of these workers' salaries into their own pockets. This is all part of Trump's Project 25 playbook. You know what else he's taken from Project 2025, Chair Powell? Their plan to eliminate the Fed. We're watching this play out as Trump doubles down on his efforts to gut the independence of the Fed. As we've seen with demands that you drop rates immediately.
Hey, Martin, I guess can you turn it up a tiny bit?
Independence in a tweet
Like
earlier this
little
year.
bit.
Chair Powell, I know you have been adamant about the independence of the Fed.
Is that good or a little more?
That's
resisted pressure.
maybe a little
After
tiny
your
bit more, then I think that should be straight.
our initiatives following Trump's illegal order, I'm concerned
Yes, sir.
that
Good
Trump
looking out,
has
bro.
more influence over
Already.
you than you let on. I speak for all of my colleagues on the Democratic side when I say that you must stand firm in defending the Fed's independence, reject any attempt by Elon Musk and his Doge minions to gain access to the Fed, its systems and data, and speak forcefully about what's at stake for our economy. The American public must hear from you, our central bank, today.
Gentlewoman yields back. I yield myself 5 minutes for questions. Thank you again, Chairman Powell, for being with us. Let me start with the Fed's bank regulation and supervisory function. As I mentioned in my opening statement, over the past 2.5 years, the outgoing Vice Chair for Supervision has pushed new regulations that would move the United States towards a one-size-fits-all approach to prudential regulation that disregards the congressional mandate that's been quite clearly established for regulators to tailor bank regulation based on an institution's size, complexity, and risk profile. Earlier this year, the Fed board announced that Michael Barr would be stepping down from his position as vice chair on February 28, 2025, or earlier, should a successor be confirmed. Significantly, the board also announced at that time that it does not intend to take up any major rulemakings until a vice chair for supervision successor is confirmed. I've discussed this with you. I've got concerns about that. You're not abdicating your supervisory response while we wait around for a vice chair for supervision. Do you agree that it's the Board of Governors that has the responsibility for bank supervision policy?
I do, and I would also agree that we need to carry on with our regulatory and supervisory duties. We can't take a holiday, and we will proceed with the things that we should be proceeding with.
You testified in the Senate yesterday, and I know you enjoyed time with the senators, and you talked a little bit about Basel III Endgame. And again, in my opening statement, I talked about that the intent was to harmonize those rules, true, for the largest institutions in the world, but also do that in a way that's capital neutral. And many of us here in Congress on both sides of the aisle felt like Vice Chairman Barr's approach was gold-plating already high standards for American banks. You testified yesterday that you think bank capital levels are about right for those large institutions. Would you tell the committee today that it's your intent to repropose a Basel III endgame approach, just speaking on behalf of the Fed only, not the other supervisors, and that it be take into account the comments and that it be generally capital neutral?
We do intend to repropose Basel III Endgame, and we intend to do that just as soon as we can get together with the new leadership at the two other banking agencies. And as I mentioned, I think we can do that pretty promptly once those people are in place. I look forward to doing that. My long-held view, as I've said in many of these hearings, is that capital in the banking system for the largest banks is at about right. And that would be my starting point on going into these discussions. But I do want to defer. I do want to, leave it for my upcoming, new leadership at those agencies to have their own views on that.
I think that's important. I think it needs to be coordinated and harmonized among our supervisory agencies. And I do want you to take into account how Basel III Endgame proposal interacts with other pending rules, whether they're on liquidity or the other things like operating risk in the companies. I think that was a lot of centrality of the comments that we saw on your bar proposal. Turning to monetary policy, looking back at 2020 and 2021, I was looking at all the principal monetary policy rules that you report in your semi-annual report. And had you followed any of the monetary policy rules that you track, they would have had you tighten sooner in the cycle rather than waiting. And I think that could have reflected, maybe not seen us have a 40-year high in inflation. Using the benefit of hindsight, do you think you should have looked at those rules more closely in the open market operations and tightened sooner?
I will say, and
Well, that's my cutoff for the day.
Hindsight,
I'm gonna head out.
It would have been good if we had tightened.
Well, past
I don't
goal.
know how much difference that would have made.
Yeah,
Be careful
yeah,
with
I'm
those rules.
good and green, so
That's fire.
In the middle of
Let's
last
go.
year.
I try to not trade
Our
past
policy
10:30
was-
because I just don't have very good results outside of the window. So
We
Hey,
The
Sam.
data says
You're a
data
starting
says
point.
don't do it. Data says don't
Right.
do it.
We've
Yes,
had
sir.
this
Yeah,
conversation
pretty much.
before. The point is that
Hey,
they
Sam,
do offer
feel free to tap any
roadmap.
day.
We do
We normally on
providing
time.
monetary
oh
policy.
yeah, don't worry about it. It's all good. I just wasn't. I haven't been feeling well the last week, so
And
I haven't been on.
so
But I'll
that
be around
you're
tomorrow
adding
probably.
that to your
No worries,
reference
Sure.
point and your guide,
Y'all have a good
guidance
one.
and in your
All right, have a good
communications.
one,
I think
fam.
Sir.
can you tell us about the review of the inflation targeting and when you expect to complete that?
Expect to complete it by the late in the summer this year. We're just beginning it now, and we're going to look at all the decisions that we made, why we made them back in 2020. We're going to ask ourselves what's changed. We're going to be open to criticism and good ways of thinking about it, and I think we'll make appropriate, discrete adjustments.
I thank you for being with us today, and I turn to the ranking member of the full committee, Mrs. Waters, for 5 minutes for your questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It is no secret that President Trump, that he wants to do away with the Federal Reserve altogether. He said he knows interest rates much better than you do. I want you to know that some of us here have been fighting to make sure that everybody understands the importance of the central bank. Every country dealing with crypto, their central bank is involved. But, of course, Trump and the opposite side of the aisle fought us. And that's one of the reasons we were not able to come together with a bipartisan agreement on stablecoins. You previously said that you would not resign if Trump asked you to do that. Do you stand by that commitment?
I have no changes to that.
I can't hear you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Damn.
Please let the record that adequately. I appreciate that because you have a right to your position not to be interfered with by law, I believe, or even Constitution. When Musk comes knocking at the Fed's door, are you going to let him in?
I don't have anything for you on that.
Would you like to tell us today that you won't let Doge into the Federal Reserve or have access to the systems and the data?
So I don't have any. We've had no contact, and I don't really have. I have nothing for you to report today on that.
Well, you know what happened in Treasury. And you know
Right. He was like,
been violated because all of our privacy has been taken up by Elon Musk and Trump, and we don't know what all they have on us, our bank accounts, everything that in our lives. So I want to protect it in the Fed. Mr. Powell, The last time you testified before this committee, you said, and I quote, "Really successful institutions in the United States generally are those that do a really good job on diversity and get the best out of people and attract a broad, diverse range of talents to the table. That is the way we feel about it. And at the Fed, that is what we've been doing and will continue to do." Chair Powell, how will you ensure that the Fed continues to attract the best and most diverse employees?
You know, we're institutions like ours, private and public, are in a constant contest to hire the best talent in the country. And we've all learned, I think, and certainly we have, that we will go anywhere to find that talent, and including places that we didn't go 25 years ago. And we'll just continue to do that. You know, we're recruiting, as you know, at many, many, many universities and colleges, including historically black universities and colleges, and others. And that's what we find, and that's our practice. We think that's the best way to go about it.
Thank you very much. And that's what I've always felt about the Fed. No matter what they call it, you only attracted and hired the best qualified people in your operation, no matter what they refer to it as, what they call it, whatever way they define it. Is that right?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Chair Powell, are you willing to provide my staff with an immediate briefing from your agency on the status of your OMWEs and equal employment offices?
Yes.
Thank you. I believe that you know that the OMWEs were created with the Dodd-Frank reforms. It's in law. And as I understand it, any attempt to dismantle OMWEs would have to come before the Congress of the United States of America. Is that your understanding?
Well, yes. Section 342 of Dodd-Frank, which is the OMWE section, is the law.
Thank you. Chair Powell, to what extent have you consulted with other board members in determining how your agency is complying with Section 342 of Dodd-Frank, and as well as any other federal anti-discrimination law?
I think we've consulted with senior staff and board members quite a bit.
Chair Powell, days after his inauguration, President Trump issued an executive order on digital assets, which includes a prohibition on central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. The executive order banned any, quote, form of digital money or monetary value denominated in the national unit of account that is a direct liability of central bank, end quote. I'm concerned that this extremely broad definition could go far beyond CBDCs. Well, thank you very much. My time is up, but I appreciate your presence here today, and I appreciate your willingness to stand up for your right to
Gentlewoman's
be the
time
chair.
has expired.
And
But
I now yield back. Thank you.
But I do invite the chairman to respond to the gentlewoman's question on CBDCs in writing. And now we turn to the vice chair of the full committee, Bill Heisinger, the gentleman from Michigan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Chair Powell. Good to see you again. You had talked a little bit about your review. I'm going to start there. Obviously, a lot has changed in the last 5 years: pandemic, inflation, higher interest rates, name a few. However, I believe your dual mandate of maximum employment and stable prices should remain the ultimate objective. I assume you agree with that. I let the record reflect a slight head nod on that. This committee is going to be very focused on monetary policy, and with my good friend from Oklahoma, Mr. Lucas, chairing a task force that I'm happy to be a part of. We're going to be addressing some of those issues. Chair Hill touched on some of the rules that have been discussed. I, for one, have always been particular to Taylor rule, but there's a number of rules. I know you go through those. At one point, I suggested that we could call it the Yellen rule with Chair Yellen, but there needed to be some sort of public declaration of what to benchmark against, and I still feel that that is of some importance. You outlined your timeline on this particular review, but I'm curious, do you believe that the last policy framework limited the Fed's response to raising inflation, something that you and I have talked about over the years?
No. I'll tell you why we didn't raise rates. We thought the inflation was transitory. I can show you forecasts from the end
Yeah.
of 2021 by us, by staff, by the blue chip. Everybody thought it was going to be transitory. That's why we didn't raise rates.
And I also distinctly remember a hearing where you and Secretary Yellen at the time were sitting next to each other, and it looked like you visibly scooted away when I asked you both whether it was still transitory, and you had, for the first time ever, a separate answer. Her answer was yes, it still was transitory. You gave a very Fed speak answer of, we no longer believe the data shows that. So no. And to kind of go to Chair Hill's point, we think that might have been a little late on that. On back to the review, I'm curious, what sort of input are you looking for from the public and from Congress as you go into that review?
So from the public, we'll do a series of Fed Listens events, which were very successful the last time. And it involves us sitting down and meeting with people, some of whom know a lot about what the Fed does, some of whom just tell you what's going on in their communities. It was really, it was a very successful part of our outreach last time. In terms of Congress, you know, we'll keep you informed of our progress. We welcome anything you may offer. But you know, it's a public. We're open to the public on this. It's a public review, as distinct from what we were doing before, and so we're welcoming views from all over.
And not to get ahead of the chairman, but I look forward to us having more conversations about that with the working group. I want to switch topics and focus a bit back to the bank supervision. Michael Barr has stepped down from his position as vice chair for supervision, effective at the end of the month. And whether, frankly, President Trump fills that position is entirely up to him. But in the absence of a vice chair for supervision, you're still working, I think, on it. I think your quote to the chairman was, "There's no time for a holiday." Now, this vice chair of supervision is a Fed governor that has, frankly, extraordinary powers and responsibilities. And ultimately, my question to you is, does the Fed really need a separate vice chair to complete its work? Now, I got here after the 2010 election, 2011, shortly after Dodd-Frank was passed. I know this vice chair position was created by Dodd-Frank. I've just been dealing with the echo effects now for the last going on 15 years of Dodd-Frank. Do we really need to have a separate vice chair of supervision?
So for many years, as you know, we did our business without a vice chair for supervision. What that means is everything goes through the full board.
And it was effective?
I think it was, and also there was less volatility.
Explain that. Why was there less volatility?
Well, because you've got a group of 7 people on the board, and there will be some as appointments change. There'll be some changes in the approach to regulation, but putting it all in a single person, admittedly just to recommend to the board, can lead to sort of some volatility in these things, which is really
larger swings in policy.
Yeah, larger swings in the kind of things, and that's not great for the institutions that we want to regulate. We want to have a good set of regulation that doesn't swing back and forth very much. The question of whether it's a good thing to have in the law is really one for you. But I will tell you, we will once Vice Chair Barr completes his term in a few weeks, we will continue on until there's a new Vice Chair for supervision, and we can very much get our work done.
Or if there is one. So with that, Mr. Chairman, my time has expired.
I thank the Vice Chairman. Mr. Heisger yields back. Recognize the gentleman from California, Mr. Sherman, for 5 minutes of questions.
Chairman Powell, you are the only bipartisan person or thing left in Washington. You were appointed by Obama. Trump gave you a promotion. Biden reappointed you. And you are the only Biden appointee not to hear the words, "You're fired," from our president. So I hope we listen to what you have to say, because you're the only person that I can identify in Washington that has support on both sides of the aisle. Mr. Huizenga mentions the importance of your dual mandate. Project 2025 calls for abolishing the dual mandate and eliminating a mandate that you focus on employment. If we were to give you just one mandate dealing with price stability and take away the mandate on employment, over the next 10 years, would our GDP be higher or lower?
It wouldn't be possible for me to say.
Does the fact that you focus on employment as one of your dual mandates lead to lower unemployment, higher employment in our country?
It may do so. We do balance those things.
Thank you.
To some extent, that may be right.
Chair Hill spoke about how important it is that you maintain your independence. I noticed that in light of the hiring freeze, the Fed has removed all its job postings. I'm hoping that your personnel policy will be as independent as everything else at the Fed. But I'm more concerned with the president's statement at 7:58 this morning, where he said interest rates should be lowered. He said it. Will that influence what the Fed actually does?
I, as a practice, never comment on anything the president says, but I think people can be confident that we'll continue to keep our heads down, do our work, make our decisions based on what's happening in the economy, the outlook,
And
the balance of
statements
risks.
by elected
No
officials
change.
are not among the things that cause you to act one way or the other.
That's correct.
Thank you. And he went
pretty
on to
firm
say
on that
that
stance.
interest rates should be lowered, something which would go hand in hand with upcoming tariffs. Let's rock and roll America. I certainly agree with the rock and roll America, but the Peterson Institute says that the policies that the president ran on will raise the CPI by between 4 and 7.5 points. And I think the biggest element of that is the proposed tariffs. If we have higher tariffs across the board, say 10 to 25%, would that increase the cost of living? And would an increase in the CPI or related indexes of the cost of living lead to higher interest rates?
You know, there are many organizations, public and private, whose role is to speculate publicly about what this might be. What we're doing is we're reserving judgment until we actually know what the policies are.
But if we have a higher cost of living, does that lead to higher interest rates? The CPI goes up, or CPE, excuse me?
Well, if inflation goes up in general,
Yeah.
forget about tariffs. In general, of course, we will use our tools, which is the interest rate, to bring it back down to 2% over time.
Okay. Yesterday, you told the Senate we're going to release the stress test scenarios before we implement them. Will you take a holistic look at large bank capital requirements, including the risk-based capital ratios like Basel III Endgame, stress testing, to make sure that you don't have a contraction in the ability of credit to Main Street businesses?
Yes.
Great. There's a proposal in Project 2025 that we abolish Fannie and Freddie. If there was no explicit or implicit federal guarantee for those who invest in mortgages, would that lead to higher mortgage interest rates?
Since you'd no longer be borrowing on the credit of the United States, in other words, so Fannie and Freddie would be privately funded, it could lead to that. I think privatizing Freddie and Fannie might have other virtues too, though, as has been considered many times by this committee and others.
Might have some virtues, but it would lead to higher mortgage rates.
It could.
The CFPB has been put on ice, but all the regulations remain in force. So if you're a bank that wants to comply with those regulations, there's nobody that can give you any clarification. So you don't know.
Find everything to say, I'm yours, this Valentine's Day at Specs.
Into practice a CFPB that enforces all the regulations that the Trump administration has tried to eliminate. Does that cause confusion for banks?
You're speculating about what the situation might be. I would say that it could. Yeah.
I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. I now recognize myself for 5 minutes. Chair Powell, let's talk about the balance sheet. As we've discussed several times before, the consistent and massive growth of the federal debt creates long-run challenges for both the United States and saddles future generations with an onerous burden. But it also creates a challenging environment for the markets as the Treasury market expands in kind. As the Fed engages in quantitative tightening, allowing the Treasuries to roll off, the Fed is careful to ensure that there are ample reserves for the balance sheet. Could you briefly discuss the conditions that determine the ideal level of reserves?
Sure. So let me say that we intend to slow, and we have slowed, but then stop the process of shrinking our balance sheet at a time when we think that reserves are somewhat above the level that we judge to be consistent with our ample reserves framework. So what that means is we want reserves to be ample, meaning we don't want them to suddenly appear to be shortages of reserves. So we're going to think of where those shortages might appear, and we're going to put a buffer on top of that, because nothing good happens when there's not enough liquidity. So that's our overall framework. And right now we feel like all the evidence suggests that reserves are still abundant, which is more than ample.
As you know, in early 2021, the Fed stated that it would invite comments on the supplemental leverage ratio. That has not happened yet. I've made the point that the growth of the U.S. Treasury market paired with a decreased willingness of banks to act as intermediaries is a major issue on the horizon. When former Treasury Secretary Yellen was before this committee last year, I asked her about the resiliency of the Treasury market, specifically about the wisdom of permanently modifying the SLR. She said it's something that the banking regulator should consider. Does the Fed plan to finally look at the SLR?
Yes, I believe we will. I have, for a long time, like others, been somewhat concerned about the levels of liquidity in the Treasury market. The amount of Treasuries has grown much faster than the intermediation capacity has grown, and one obvious thing to do is to reduce the effective supplemental leverage ratio, the bindingness of it. So that's something I do expect we will return to and work on with our new colleagues at the other agencies and get done.
Because I think my colleagues are aware that over the course of recent times, literally we have 8 times as much debt to process, but only half as many major market makers. The Federal Reserve is not immune to politics. You, like every Fed governor, go through a lengthy confirmation process in the Senate. And of course, you're required to answer to Congress in hearings like this. I can trace a major political turning point at the Fed to the passage of Dodd-Frank, which greatly expanded the Fed's regulation and supervision authority. Chairman Powell, do you worry that the independence of the Federal Reserve's monetary policy function is in any way hindered by its role as a bank regulator? Can you do both?
Well, we can and we do, and we'll continue to do that. Clearly, the regulatory and supervisory side is more contentious in political circles. But we will continue to carry it out as best we can and to do so in a non-political way as best we can.
And clearly that'll be a major discussion topic in the task force. In my remaining time, could you discuss the Fed's 5-year review of monetary policy? What are the categories of issues you think that will be helpful to receive feedback on?
So a good part of it will be looking at the changes we made in 2020, which were made in an environment where we had been stuck at the effective lower bound at 0 for 7 years. And the highest we got our rate really was sustainably was 1.5%, and that was the highest of any advanced economy central bank. So the concern was that at the slightest downturn, we'd be back at the 0 lower bound and we'd be stuck. So we were looking for ways to make up for that. So then the question is, we got this inflation out of the pandemic and the events related to it. Are we in a different place now? And I think the chances are pretty good that maybe the effective lower bound is still a concern, but it's not the base case anymore. So we need to look at that and decide what are the implications of that for our framework.
Thank you, Chairman, and I look forward to several more discussions on these topics. And with that, I yield back the balance of my time, and I recognize the gentleman from New York, Mr. Meeks, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair Powell, thank you for being here today, and you've indicated in past hearings that geopolitical tensions pose important risks to global economic activity. In fact, around this time last year when you appeared before the committee, you and I discussed how conflicts around the world, specifically the war in Ukraine, had impacted the cost of things like groceries in the United States of America. At that time, you indicated that the war had caused commodity prices to move sharply back home. Does that sound correct?
Grilled or fried? Now that's a Zaxby's Philly. Who's got the sauce? Zaxby's.
I was just working like a dead-end job, really. Finally, I was like, I can't do it anymore.
And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm going to go be a welder.
I've never felt independence like this before. That first paycheck was like, whew, what do I do with all this?
It's been such a blessing in my life.
I'm very competitive. I want to beat the boys. I can assure you, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it too.
I'm a single mother, and I can do it. I know they can do it because women before me have done it.
That by mandate, assist U.S. commercial interests by supporting developing countries' economic growth and building building countries' capacity to participate in the world trade. Would you agree with that?
It's not for me to be the judge or to say on that.
Mark.
We do know that a number of, like USAID, they buy a lot of their